Hey, I know it's been a while, and the reason why is I was doing some yard work. I accidentally ran into the back hatch of my car, and I had to get staples. So I took a week off, a little longer than I wanted, and let's just go ahead and start the review. It's a pretty nice box. Figure time. And out of the box, the Skyword Sword Link Figma looks pretty good. Now compared to his game model, it's not perfect, but it does the job pretty well, I'd say. Now this Link is from a game called The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and I've only played the demo, so I can't really tell you about the story or anything. I hear it's a good game to some and bad to others, so I can't really make up my mind, but the game looks fun. I really just wanted this Link for a Smash Brothers Link because it looks really cool.
Of course!
Now in terms for accessories, he gets quite a lot of good accessories. First off, I'm not sure if this really counts, but he gets like this backdrop that is the insert. You can push the little Zelda logo out for him to stand on, but I'm going to keep the box the way it is because I like the way it looks. Now the instructions are neat that it has both English and Japanese sides of instructions, which is really nice. Plus it shows you all the stuff you get and how to attach the sword, shield, and other items. Now Link comes with a pair of hands that are on this unique white piece that holds them all together, which is really nice. Now to swap out the hands, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is pull the hand out and pop a new one on. It's that simple. Other than his closed fist, he has open palm hands, relaxed hands, hands to hold the sword and shield, and tilted open hands to hold the sword and shield. Now, both the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield he comes with looks very nice. Now, to get the sword in his hand, you have to take the bottom piece of the sword out and gently slide into the open hand. Just be very careful and try not to put too much stress on it. And then you just put the little bottom piece back on. As for the Hylian Shield, you have to take all the handles and grips off. You need to unpeg the bottom of the handle so you can slide it through the hand and peg it back on top. Then you can peg it into the shield along with the forearm grip. And would you look at that? He looks really good. No complaints there. However, my one complaint with this figure is that both of these little handles don't really stay on that well. They're really loose. Even with floor polish, they've kind of gotten loose again, which is really annoying. He comes with this wind slash accessory that you can attach to the sword by sliding it on either side of the sword, so you can do it in any direction. Honestly, this is an accessory that I never would have thought I wanted, but I love it, and I can't imagine without it now. Now, with the slanted downward hand, other than just raising the sword up, you can also draw the sword from the back. It's not easy, but it is possible. Now, if you want to store the sword, you can store it in a sword sheath, and it's really nice and snug, and it really will not fall out. And it just pegs onto the back like so. You can also choose to attach the shield on the back. Sadly, the leather strap handle doesn't really go anywhere on it. I've tried, it's not the easiest, so I kind of just leave it in the bag if I use this option. Although, I do find that it doesn't really peg on the back really solidly. Like, it will stay on, but if you move the figure around, it will fall off. Other than the emotionless face, you get a yelling face. Although I really wish there was a happy face, because almost every time when Link opens a chest, he has this happy expression on his face. So he's either looking at it emotionally like he's regretted a life choice, or he's so angry he's about to go into an emotional breakdown. Now you also get the additional option to change his normal straight hair to wind flowing hair for action scenes, which is really nice. Now all Figmas come with a Figma stand, which are really cool stands that allow your figures to be held up in cool poses and whatnot. I like how they use their logo on the base because it looks really good. The articulation is you could rotate the arm on the base, or use the 3 joints to move it in any way you want. And you can also tighten the joints by tightening the screws on the actual joints itself. There's also 2 pieces that you can peg on. One for more standing pose, and the other is the one I like to use more because you can get more action shots, and I find it easier to actually peg on his back. And the last accessory, which oddly enough might be my favorite, is the Figma plastic bag. These come with all Figma figures to store the extra parts, which is really awesome. And the articulation for this guy is really good. He has a ball jointed head which can look left, right, up, and down, and tilt side to side. The back of his cap is on a swivel to get out of the way for good action poses. He has a butterfly shoulder joint, which is really good. Along with that, the shoulder can rotate 360 degrees, can move outward, has a swivel above the elbow, a elbow joint, a wrist swivel with a hinge, but this is not the standard Figma hinge, and I'd rather see a Figma hinge like this on this link, but this was an earlier time for Figma, so it's something I could just let slide. He's got a ball jointed ab crunch. It is a little limited, but that's not too bad. This pouch for some reason has a ball joint on it. He has a ball jointed type waist swivel. He has ball jointed hips that can move upward, backward, and all the way to the side. He has a thigh swivel which is below the knee joint. He can bend his knee backwards that far. He has an ankle pivot. He can swivel his foot and an ankle rocker and a toe bend, which is really good. And now for size comparisons. Here's Figma Link with Marvel Legends Iron Fist, Figma Young Link, Nintendo World Animal Crossing Boy, and S.H.Figuarts Mario. Alright, it's time for the classic pros and cons segment. The pros to this figure is, this definitely does look like Link from Skyward Sword. It's not perfect, but it does a really good job of replicating what Link would look like in Skyward Sword. He has great articulation, which will give you a lot of emotive, expressive action shots or whatever poses you want to get Link in. He's got a lot of great accessories, including that sword slash effect part, which I think is really, really cool, and it's not something I would expect on a figure before I knew about it. The bonus pro is the little plastic baggie in the figure stand. That just makes it so much better to have this figure. That way I don't lose the parts, and I can get a lot of good poses with the stand. My one nitpick about the figure is I wish the wrist joint could be the newer styled Figma joints, because that looks so much better and it works better. Another nitpick is I wish he came with a happy face. That way he can express more emotions than just having a stern face and a yelling face. My cons are, I really wish the shield, both handles were more solid and not loose. The connection's loose, they don't really stay on that well. I even had floor polish and it's kind of still loose, so that's one of my very few complaints. I find the sheath on the back is not really like the most solid connection. It's not horrible, but when you're moving the figure around, it is kind of a hassle. But don't get me wrong when I say this figure is really, really awesome. He has great articulation, a good amount of accessories, definitely does have the resemblance of Link from Skyward Sword, and this figure is really cool. Now, the retail price for this figure is about $50, but I paid $30 when in fact I actually traded some stuff in and I got this figure for free. Free? I will tell you right now, this won't be the last Figma I get. I'm really, really into Figma right now after getting this link and the other link, which might be another review. And that's pretty much it for Figma Link, but I'm going to show you my plans for my next review.
I fly to the moon. I shrink the moon. I grab the moon. I sit on the toilet with Cat!